The opinions and views expressed by individuals during this broadcast are their own and may not be the opinions of this network, their group, or other organization they may be involved with.
Open your eyes.
Everyone, and welcome to Open Your Eye here on the NOK Network. And we are, of course, two patients flying through the realm of psychedelic medicine with me, Kim Cooper, my awesome joint host, Tarra Simpson. How's it going, Tarra?
I'm great tonight, Kim. How are you?
I'm not too bad, not too bad. I'm going to turn my volume up here so I can hear everybody. I had it down a little bit there. There we go. That's a little bit better. I'm not doing too bad. It's been a busy week for me around here, trying to line everything up. Of course, we've got a busy month of April, so much so that our show here, Open Your Eye, is taking a little break. We are going to be off the air for the month of April because you and I are going to be together exploring some scenes in the, I guess, realm of natural therapy in Southern Ontario for a couple of weeks in April.
Absolutely. I'm so stoked. I'm excited, for your birthday because it's your birthday.
It's my birthday.
I'm super excited for your journey when you get down here with Jameson and the whole DMT experience.
Yeah, it's going to be cool.
So cool. I know that you've been looking forward to this for a while. So I'm just fortunate enough I get to watch the whole thing transpire in our little space here. It's going to be wicked. Yeah. And hopefully we can line up a few little adventures to Toronto and see some of our Canafam up there and Hamilton, go down and see some people down there, just some touring around and checking out the scenes.
Yeah, absolutely. Of course, both of us have been on our own journeys with psychedelic medicine, utilizing various modalities and, learning lots from our guests that we've had here on the show and, finding out more about them on our own afterwards and then, experimenting by incorporating some of those modalities into our own routines and seeing how they can help us along the way with our path as well. And one of those modalities for me, of course, that has always excited me is DMT. And I'm stoked that for my 61st birthday, turning 61, I am going to take my very first guided DMT trip with a facilitator. So that's kind of cool.
Yeah. Totally different experience, I suspect, than when we did our own little experimentation in an Airbnb in Toronto a couple of years ago. I mean, we were winging it, and doing our own research prior to. Disclaimer there, we didn't just go and ask some Joe Blow off the street for some DMT and take it home. We actually did know who we got our supply from and did the research and double verified with him dosages and so on. So we did some homework prior to, but I'm not a facilitator.
We were by no means trained for what we did.
No.
Just went ahead and did it anyway.
Right. I just was there to assist and, if need be, make sure you got medical attention. I mean, beyond that, I'm not a facilitator. So for me, it was a really interesting experience. It really opens my mind to the realm of DMT because I've never seen someone take it, let alone be part of that journey. So it was really cool, but I'm so curious to see how this goes with the facilitator.
Me too. Me too. The doses this time are going to be much higher than what we did, because we were erring on the side of caution. So they're going to be proper dosage this time, and with the facilitator there. So I'm excited for this journey, because we already do the mushrooms, which is what we're going to be talking about tonight. Both of us are microdosers as well as macrodosers, and we've got with us tonight the one and only Anthony Sabia is in the house from Shroomski Magazine.
Yay!
1 year anniversary. We've been interviewed him about 13 months ago when he was ready to launch Shroomski Magazine. Now it's been on the stands for just over 12 months. Let's bring him in and catch up with Anthony Sabia.
Hey, what's up, Canada? What's going on, ladies? How you doing? Thanks for having me back too. And the little refresher, I was trying to remember when I was on that last year. I don't think I actually did have the first magazine out yet. I don't think I did.
It was on its way to being released. You said it was about approximately 6 to 8 weeks or so was going to be the release date after we had you on. So that's why I thought, well, okay, I get you on now. We're right around the 1 year anniversary mark for you here, and check in and see how things have been flying along.
No, they've been going great. We just put our 4th issue out. And so we do 3 a year, and so we just got the first one out for 2024, and we couldn't be more happy with it. Just things progressing, and it takes a little while. I'm still kind of getting the training wheels off this bike, but we are very, very excited with what we're doing. And again, just I was listening when you were saying what you were gonna do here coming up, like a first guided DMT tour. It is kind of cool to have it guided, because that first time you're doing it, like, you kind of fucking wing it. I know, like, the first time I was like, I'm like, am I just gonna put this shit on like a bong with weed and hit it? Like, this is what I'm gonna do. And and then you have somebody who kind of knows what they're doing and can help you a little bit longer. You're gonna have a really good blast off to the next dimension, and I can't wait to hear about that. Yeah,
I'm excited. I'm excited for it. It's something that I've wanted to do for a very, very long time. So I'm very, very excited to have this actually come to fruition here. And for my 61st birthday, no less. I mean,
it's almost like a reverse Sweet 16. You know what I'm saying?
It is. I like the way you thought of that.
It is. It almost is. And no, I mean, no better time to do it than now. And again, just it's just so coming like you two, like, coming out of so much weed industry stuff. That was what everybody kind of had tunnel vision on for the longest time, and then mushrooms start coming up, and then like the first time I heard DMT, I mean, you might as well have told me it was DDT. I thought it was some kind of like fucking poison and stuff, and then you start researching and you're like, oh, this is something complete. It's like a tree bark, and there's just so much more out there than meets the eye off the bat. When you start talking psychedelics, it's like there's a whole world of psychedelics. It's not just a basic mushroom trip, or even I love LSD, but that's kind of like the other thing that people might have to associate it with, and then you start finding out all these other things, and DMT is definitely just, again, like I kind of like to refer to psychedelics like you're going on rides at a carnival, or like Disney World or something. And it's like mushrooms are kind of pretty easy. It's almost like just being on like Small World. Like, it's fun, whatever, you can get off soon or whatever. It's not too hard. And then DMT is like going on Space Mountain. There is absolutely no way to describe it other than that. I mean, it's a complete blast off when you do it right. And and very impactful.
There are many different levels in the world of psychedelics, right? There's so many different levels. I think mushrooms have become sort of the go-to for people when they think about psychedelics. You talk about psychedelics, you say, oh yeah, I'm going to talk to you about psychedelics. They go, oh, mushrooms, right? Like, that's the first thing that people think of is mushrooms.
The gateway drug.
So much more than just the mushrooms. Mushrooms, I think, are commonplace because they're considered one among the safer ones.
Right.
Right.
I think so too. They're pretty palatable. You know, a lot of people can kind of just, okay, it's a magic mushroom. You just eat it, and it doesn't. You know, it doesn't. It seems pretty acceptable right now. And again, you know, you kind of watching how cultures kind of you know, like an era or like a generation or whatever, and it is definitely becoming very, very mainstream right now. Where, you know, you got fucking Dr. Phil talking about it, and you know, everybody is essentially trying to, you know, figure out how to get them into themselves, or how to kind of maybe work them into their routine. And, you know, is it pot? You know, they're asking the question: would a microdose help as opposed to a glass of wine, or, you know, even smoking a joint, you know, whatever. I'm just, it's being thought of like, hey, maybe I could try this. You know, it might not be so hard to take in or something, you know?
Yeah.
A lot of
it's interesting that you refer to it as like a glass of wine, because for myself, I describe to newbies with microdosing that it's kind of like when you have that couple of glasses of wine and you get that little warm, fuzzy hug, that glow. That's
Right.
like microdose hits. That's kind of what you feel. You just feel a little bit happy and warm and fuzzy for a few minutes. But
Right. Like it's not intoxicating, you know, like enough of a dose to feel it, but where you're not intoxicated is very, you know. And what's crazy is because that was in my, you know, I didn't even know I didn't even know the phrase microdose 10 years ago. I had no idea that existed. You know, it was just macro or like monstro. It was like one or the other. And I didn't know that, like, you know, I would never think of like looking at a mushroom and being like, hey, let's just break this in half and share it. I'd always want to eat the whole thing, you know. And
I don't have enough to share. I've only got 2 grams.
Exactly. You'd be like, what do you mean? You're not getting any of this, you know? And now it's, you know, you could have 2 grams and have 4 people, and you could cut it into quarters, and you'd all have a good time, and no one would really be intoxicated. And you could still drive a vehicle, which is like, you know, it's which is crazy. Like, and I'm not trying to say that in any sort of a way that sound reckless or anything like that, but that's a fact. Like, you would not have any type of a psychedelic overload. You kind of just get that, like, it's kind of funny, kind of going back to the amusement park analogy, where I kind of feel like the microdose is almost that feeling when you're going up the roller coaster and you haven't dropped yet. It just feels like that to me. And I feel like you're just like, hey, I'm about to drop. And you just never really drop. It just has that anticipation of a good time, you know?
Exactly. Yeah. And as far as like driving on them, I personally, when I first started microdosing, didn't drive, as I wouldn't on any new medication or whatever. But I found for myself, once I realized it didn't impair me in any way, I started kind of, you know, like, okay, well, I'll take a trip to the grocery store and see how that goes, or, you know, and I don't find it impairs my ability to function in any way. I don't feel impaired. I don't even feel like even that first, when you first start microdosing, you notice it. I think maybe because you anticipate that you're going to feel it. Now I don't even, it's like just taking a piece of candy every day, right?
Right.
I just feel happy. It affects me in different ways, but not in an impairment level.
Right. Yeah. You don't really get that intoxication. And it's, you know, again, it's kind of funny too, because even the microdose starts coming into play with like a DMT type of a thing where you can, like, there's a lot of DMT pens kind of floating around Colorado right now. And,
yeah.
Right. They're out there. We know we get some crafty friends out there with some hardware. And, you know, like, you got to take 3 pretty good rips off of DMT to blast off. And you can take a little puff off of a DMT pen and have it be a microdose of DMT. And I mean, it's much quicker. You know what I mean? Like, it's a quick feel, but does it? I mean, it will definitely alter your feeling, but you're not intoxicated. You're not, you know, you know, if you do DMT correctly, you're going to want to lay down. Like, you can't sit up.
And
you know what I mean? Like,
you're kind of DMT, right? Because there are different
you're right.
types of DMT. There's DMT that comes from the root bark and plant-based DMT, which is what the majority of those vapes are. But then, you know, you've also got your 5-MeO DMT that comes from Bufo the frog.
Yes, which
that's a whole different animal.
Have you done that?
That's what I'm doing.
Oh, so you're going to do 5-MeO. So, okay, so, I did that on New Year's Eve. It was the first time I've done it. And it was so strong. Like, it just in terms of like, it didn't have the same visual overload. Like, I kind of almost feel like just straight DMT, like we're talking from a tree bark. I almost feel like you go into some kind of alternate visual world. Like, it might as well be in a video game or something. Like, it's very, very visual with a lot of colors. I had a lot of colors, where the Bufo 5-MeO, and it's funny as we talk about that, that was an article that we covered, or a topic that we covered with an article in this current issue. I'm looking forward to sending them out to you. Oh, look at that. Look at just right on cue. Boom. That's Android Jones. He's such a phenomenal artist. He's local here in Colorado. And, even going back to video games and stuff, he was the director of character development for Nintendo for a long time. And he just does such a good job putting detail into what it is. I can't wait to send those up to you. But yes, so 5-MeO was very strong, and where just DMT by itself, when I say by itself, I'm just talking straight DMT, it didn't fucking grab my body. Like, it didn't fucking grab my body. That toad venom is like some guy, you feel like there's some sort of, I don't want to call it paralysis, but like, it fucking grabbed my body. Like, it really did. And I had to lay down, and it was like a checkerboard of vision that was very like a light, whatever. It had its own little color to it. It was kind of like not quite red, but like a white mixed with red. I don't want to call it pink, but whatever. It was like a light red that I saw a lot of, just so much in my own head that I saw. Again,
it'll force you into your own shit that you've got buried. It's going to force you to see shit that maybe you don't want to think about.
And the one thing that I've heard, it's been written over a couple of the guys who have written for me have said that psychedelics tend to bring to the surface whatever it is you've been putting off. If there's something you've been putting off, if there's something that you need to address, it's almost unavoidable at that point. It's gonna come up, and I will just say this, that the 5-MeO DMT was very strong, a very strong psychedelic, and I not in a bad way. I'm not trying to fucking scare anybody.
No, I'm not afraid. I'm more stoked than ever.
Exactly, and that was. It's very good sometimes, like, when we're talking about that amusement park thing, it's almost like a water slide. Like, there's some of the ones that take you all over and they're kind of fun. That was a straight plunge, like the one that's the slide that you get up and you're fucking down it in 5 seconds, but you went 80 miles an hour. Like, that was definitely what I felt. And kind of funny, as I'm planning on doing it again here somewhere in the spring. We just got into the spring. How's the weather up there? You got nice little birds chirping. The weather's starting to kick better stains.
So about a week and a half ago, it was beautiful. It was gorgeous out. It was sweatshirt weather. I was out building a fire pit in my yard, and then
winter came back.
Yeah, winter lasts a little bit longer up there, I'm sure.
One little blast, and it's one blast before it fucks off for good, right?
That's it.
On us for another week or two, and then hopefully it'll be gone for good. But yeah, no, I mean, I'm stoked for this. Now, I also was gifted by a dear friend of the show here as well. Somebody gifted me the plant-based DMT, so I have a package of that as well. So I'm going to be taking that with me on my trip to Tarra's, and we may experiment perhaps with the plant-based maybe a week or so afterwards, the Bufo trip, just so I can see the difference. You should. And again, like, you're going to feel a complete grip. It's going to grip you really hard. That toad is something else. I don't know who the fuck
decided to smoke that.
The toad.
Yeah, I don't know.
The toad.
Yeah, I don't know who did this the first time, but I will tell you they were ballsy, and there was definitely, I don't know how else to put it. It's a magical toad. I don't know how else to put it. That poison, it's a poison to everybody else, but I guess if you put it in a little fucking pipe and light it up and hit it and get a nice good deep breath of it, I mean, you are gonna go. And again, it's quick too. It was quick. It's nothing too long, but very much.
I've been told 12 to 18 minutes.
Yeah, I'd say something like that. I mean, I guess it all depends on. And again, am I a professional on this shit? Yeah, no, I'm a publisher, and I'm kind of a very eager psychonaut that wants to. I need to walk the walk, right? If I'm going to publish a magazine on this shit, I've got to make sure I'm trying these things, and just so I can be able to have a conversation with people about it. I don't want to sound like some idiot walking into the room who doesn't know what they're talking about. So,
that's what I love about you. I mean, you don't talk shit. You're like, okay, well, if I'm going to talk about this, we got to try this shit. It's
got to try it,
on, right?
Yeah, I mean, well, again, like I can talk about weed till I'm blue in the face, and it's my livelihood. It's what pays for Shroomski, and I sell weed all over Colorado as my livelihood, and I can talk about that till, like I said, till the cows come home, whatever, however you want to frame it. But with psychedelics, I have a bunch of passion for it, but I've only had my hands into so much of it. You know what I mean? There's ones I haven't tried ayahuasca, which I'm very, very interested in. I'm going to get all this shit out of the way by the end of this year. Ayahuasca. The other one that we published an article on in this last one was ibogaine. I'm not sure if you've been. So ibogaine got decriminalized here in Colorado. It is a root, bark, fruit, whatever the fuck, from Africa. Like very small part of Africa that it grows. Yeah, and it's very strong, and it lasts a really long time. 12 to 15 hours. They're saying that it goes, which is an extremely long time to trip. I mean, that's like a long acid trip, but much stronger. And the author who wrote that one, her name is Lakshmi. She believes very much that it could very well help end a bunch of the addiction issues that plague so many people, and not even just like opiates, which is the obvious one, but there's just so many people that are addicted to the two most accessible drugs, which are nicotine from cigarettes and alcohol. I mean, you can go anywhere and get them. You know what I mean? And she was even talking about another one, probably even more accessible than that, which is sugar. You know what I mean? Which is everybody's favorite. I got a little bag of cookies sitting over there.
Everybody's addicted to sugar. Absolutely everything, because it's in everything.
In everything, and it's something that I very much want to find out what that feels like to try that. And
I'm going to hook you up. I am going to hook you up. I'm going to hook you up with the Fishleys. Okay, Patrick and his wife Michelle. They travel from Canada, and they travel also around the United States, and they are facilitators for iboga and ibogaine.
Oh, nice.
They are both nurses. Patrick is a registered nurse, and his wife is a practical nurse. And they are both been, I don't know what the proper term is, but they've been granted as their teachers, and they've learned from the people of Gabon, Africa. They went and they stayed there for a couple of years. Yeah. And they learned everything about the tradition. And now they brought it back.
Oh, that's great.
They're in Canada.
They're in Canada. Right now they're in the US.
Are they in the US?
Yeah, they're in the US for the next couple of weeks. I'm going to send Patrick a message while he's
I'd love to talk to him, and I appreciate the hookup and introduction to him.
Great people, fantastic fucking people.
We love the way they run their facility and program. We've heard great things from people who've been there, as well as just knowing them and interviewing them on the show, right? Yeah. So amazing. They're very thorough. Very
wow.
and stuff, and the patients come back and they speak very highly of these people, which is why I reached out to get them on the show initially, was because of one of their a patient that had just returned from a session with them, and they couldn't say enough about these people. And it's
that's great.
I have to know who these people are, and we've developed a very good friendship over the course of the last couple of years, last 3 years of doing this show, and yeah, absolutely knowledgeable and fantastic people when it comes to. He's bugging me to do it. He's like, Kim, you got to do iboga. Kim, you got to do iboga. And it's like, okay, well, let me get the DMT out of the way first.
Right. Right. You know, because there is a bit of, you know, not everybody just wants to jump in the deep end and go swimming in this stuff. I mean, it does take, you know, when we've been smoking weed for so long, you think that that's enough, and then all of a sudden you're like, yo, what's this going to do if I smoke it? You know, and you kind of, you know, it takes a lot to kind of want to go on some of those roller coasters, you know, and especially back to back where you're like, man, that, you know, I came out of that 5-MeO, I was, what the fuck, man? I was like, that was really strong, you know, and I'm looking forward to doing it again, but you know, it's serious. I mean, there was no two ways around it. And you know, I hear, you know, iboga is an extremely long duration where, you know, you have to have somebody.
Yeah, the girl that spoke highly of them that used to be on this show with me years ago when I first started it, her trip with iboga with the fish leaves, she was gone 18 hours.
Wow. That's what I'm saying. That's a long ass time.
I don't want to go for 18 hours. That scares the shit out of me.
That's what I'm saying. You know what I mean? Like it's a ballsy move to go, you know, hey, 18 hours, clear my schedule, shut my phone off, tell everybody I love them, and I'll see you tomorrow. You know, it's like, you know, it's a big commitment. But again, you know, it's like I'm, you know, I don't really feel I have any addictions that, I mean, I say that. I mean, I guess I could probably eat a little better here. But speaking of which, I knew I was going to be on, you know, Canadian time up here tonight. So for lunch, I did eat Canadian bacon on my pizza. Okay. I wanted to make sure I was already in the mood, you know, today. And so, you know, I just, you know, hey, I had to do it. You know, I saw the option. I'm like, well, I'm just going to get regular bacon. Or I could get the Canadian bacon. I'm talking with Kim tonight, you know? Kim and Tarra, you already was on my mind. So, you know, you know, that's a long trip. You know what I mean? And it's like, this is the interesting thing too, is sometimes, and this is what I've just kind of come into a bit with, sometimes you get to a certain point where you don't necessarily you know, you might have come to a happy place in your life where you don't feel you need to do it, right? Like, you know, I'm 45, I'm about to turn 46 here in May, and it's like, I put myself through the ringer in my 20s and 30s and shit, and I'm glad I'm alive and doing well. And I you know, sometimes you don't get the itch where you're like, I need to alter my whole life. I kind of feel like I might have got the boat turned around and I'm going in the right direction. And, you know, it's a big commitment to say, you know, hey, for 18 hours, I'm going to trip fucking hard and try to, you know, but I have to do this sooner or later just because I want to know what I'm talking about, you know, if somebody asks the question, you know.
You need to hook up with Patrick.
Okay, I'm looking forward to it.
He will right your ship, and you need to, I'm going to hook you up.
Yeah,
Patrick
would be the one.
This conversation, 100%. I have 100% faith that you will get exactly what you need from Patrick's conversation, and then whatever happens next happens next. And I look forward to hearing about that from you. But right now, I'm looking at the time; it has ticked down, and we are at medication time.
Oh shit!
Quick break and medicate, and then we will be back with more of our conversation with Anthony Sabia from Shroomski Magazine. Stay tuned.
That's right.
We'll be back in about 4 minutes and 20 seconds. Hang in there.
Oh, I like that. Perfect. I'm ready to...
Join us for NOK Network monthly specials, 12 months a year. Movie nights. Spotlight on entertainment. And live on location event coverage. Stay up to date about upcoming programming by subscribing to NOK Network on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, and Rumble. Check out our webpage at www.noknetwork.com. Are you a Northern Ontario resident? Searching for credible information on cannabis as a medicine? No Sir is here to help. Established in 2013, Northern Ontario Cannabis Education and Resources is here for you. No Sir Director Kim Cooper brings you 45 plus years experience utilizing cannabis as a medicine and is spreading the education across the North. Activism, resources, referrals, and more at No Sir. Don't be a jackass. Say no sir to cannabis propaganda with No Sir. Find us at www.nocer.ca.
Put it away for 30 minutes a day on IWK. The IWK 710 Daily Sesh is a virtual gathering where consumers meet up for a toke and some laughs at 7 p.m. Eastern nightly. Originally aired on Info with Kim social media pages, the IWK 710 Daily Sesh is now also podcasted on NOK Network. Rotating joint hosts bring you a variety of content during this 30-minute virtual smoke sesh. Take a break from the stresses of life and put it all away for 30 minutes a day on IWK. Podcasted nightly at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on NOK Network.
Advertising space available at NOK. Contact us for a rate sheet at knocknetwork.com. Send us a message on our social media platforms or email us at info@noknetwork.com.
Hey, dudes and dudettes. Enjoy the show, man.
And we're back from our medication session here on Open Your Eye. We hope you'll tune into one of the many other podcasts that were highlighted during the break, produced and aired here on the NOK Network. We got to get this guy back in. We got no time to waste.
Absolutely. I agree, Kim. Bring him back. Bring him back.
Bring him back. Bring him back.
Ta-da, I'm back. Man, look at this forehead of mine. I look like fucking Peyton Manning over here. I got a big ass forehead.
You're much more beautiful than Peyton Manning.
Oh, way more handsome. He's got nothing on me.
100%. Anthony, I think this is such a great fucking endeavor. Having this magazine out, this space is exploding. And I really, really, really like some of the shit that you've done with your covers.
Oh, so that was the Shroomski night.
You have a few of these nights where you call them Shroomski nights, and you've had a couple of them, and I've been watching.
Yeah.
And I wish I was in the States so I could attend because they look like fun. Tell me about this.
So we throw an event with each magazine that we launch, so the next one coming up is going to be our biggest one to date. We're actually calling it, and this is going to sound really delicious, we're calling it the Shroomski Melt. Okay. And it's going to be the first time that we've had all 6 of the cover artists together in the same room. And it very well may be the first time all 6 of them have actually all been together at the same event, which will be Chris Dyer, who did the first one, John Speaker did number 2, Morgan Mandala. We're on the issue right now that has Android Jones. And then we've got Alex and Allison Gray, which is fucking really crazy that that they're going to be doing the cover of the next one. And we're throwing basically the biggest art show that we could possibly, a visionary art show. I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, if someone's in there, with a Rembrandt, great, that's awesome. But, there's I have felt that for a long time that the whole psychedelic community has thrived within the art world. Yes. And that's really where, I never really had a hard time getting drugs. I was always friends with some artists and shit. And like,
that's right. And they always have the best drugs, right?
They do. They fucking definitely do. And that was the Halloween party. Both of those, by the way, were done by John Gay. John Gay is a phenomenal artist. He's done numerous, he was featured in our magazine before. He's done a couple of these posters for us for the events. And the one that we just, but the one coming up right now is Alex and Allison Gray. And anybody who's a fan of the band Tool, they all know that that's Alex Gray's art. He's done the last 3 albums for them. He's basically like synonymous with the band's look. And it's, that's been a big part of, and again, too, I put the magazine out with the intentions that the laws that we voted in Colorado were going to be enacted right away. Well, not right away, but just as we voted them, which was going to be right now. We thought that there were already going to be treatment facilities popping up in 2024 in Colorado. Yeah. But as usual, they're fighting over who's going to get the money. So it all got backed up, and it's going to be ready a year from now. So again, I'm very glad I did what I did, which was just let me make an art magazine that talks about psychedelics, and I'll leave it at that, right? And let the visionary art, goes very much hand in hand with so much of what you see with when you take some of these substances like a DMT or an I'm only saying ayahuasca because it's what a lot of the artists tell me that has inspired a lot of their work. I haven't personally seen that myself, but I have certainly eaten a lot of acid and taken a lot of mushrooms, and I had blasted off on DMT a good handful of times. And that looks.
That's what I used for my migraine again today, Kim.
Is it? This is microdose LSD.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Microdose form. So there's basically 1 hit of acid in the 60 mLs of distilled water.
Yeah.
Got a little eye drop. You can see the little hit floating around in there.
Nice.
Acid, and it's floating around in 60 mLs of distilled water. So then you use the eyedropper and you just take, you put that underneath your tongue and you can microdose LSD. If you drink the whole bottle, then you're doing a hit of acid.
Oh, yeah. See, very, very small. Very small.
Right.
And, you see things differently on psychedelics. And, there hasn't really been any art that's occurred. I don't want to say Salvador Dali. I'm almost positive Salvador Dali tripped. I don't know.
He's a psychedelic head. He had to be for the shit he
had to be. I don't know how you could have got your mind to go that far that long ago,
Fucking toads. There's no question.
Exactly. He found major mushrooms and had eaten them or something, and again, but he was one guy, that one artist that did it and really changed what everyone kind of perceived was possible with art. And then, I kind of got to tip my hat again to Alex Gray, where he basically was taking what he was seeing and putting it on a canvas. And, it blew everybody away. And, this is coming up, over 25 years, 30 years ago that he started really, I don't want to try to date it or whatever, but quarter of a century, give or take, that, he's basically changed the face of what this generation is seeing for art. And now you have a lot of artists that are saying like, okay, well, I'm going to dose and I'm going to paint and, and I'm going to see what I come up with. And visionary art, in my opinion, is the next big wave of art that you're going to see that takes over as like, like there's the surrealism and then there's the whatever, all these other fucking ones and stuff. But visionary art is we're in the midst of it right now. And we just, again, I really just tip my hat to so many of the artists. My mom was an art teacher, she actually still does teach art. She was like the YMCA's art director where I grew up in Massachusetts. And it's kind of where I can't fucking draw. Like I couldn't, I was like
your whole life though, with your,
like I just kind of like, I have very much of an appreciation for art though, that I didn't necessarily know I had, right? I kind of just looked at it as my mom was this really talented artist that was a great teacher and was really funny. And that's it. That's all I kind of like growing up. Like that's, was like my, I just wanted to listen to like Metallica and Slayer and like, I was just happy with that. And, kind of coming out of it now. And I talk with so many artists. I'm very close with a lot of them now, and some of them become very good friends of mine. And I'm blown away by what some of them are able to pull off. And it's really cool because my mom gets this magazine, and she's just such a big fan of practically every art, And then when I hear her commenting, just like, oh my God, like how did this fucking happen? You know what I mean? Like how did they do it? And start trying to explain to her like, well, they got computers now, Ma. A little this, a little that happens, but she's still just such a big fan of all the artists, and I'm gonna have her up here. Speaking of which, I'll just say this to the both of you two: if you can get down here for June 29th into Denver, you both have tickets. You can come live broadcast from the Shroomski Melt. I would love to have you here. Well, we would love to have you here, and you both got tickets, and I'll even give you both a +1. All right, in case you find someone you want to take with you, okay? So we would love to have you at it and show you what we're doing at these events, because they're not, not trying to knock anybody's event, but the majority of the events the majority of the events that we move the magazines at are like conventions or whatever. Like they'll be like just something where there's a bunch of trade show booths, and people come in and buy tickets to go around and see the different vendors. And that's where we move the majority of the magazines. But what we do is I call it an immersive mixer where, we're encouraging someone, if you wanted to eat, a dose of mushrooms and come in, you're going to be very much welcome there. We have a couple of nurses that are walking around just to make sure if something, we haven't had anything happen, knock on wood, but or knock on wood, right? But if if we want people to, I want to at least show, and this is as a result of, I was a doorman for a long time. I probably thrown fucking 200 something people out of a bar, and nobody got thrown out of a bar that didn't drink alcohol. They were all drunk. You know what I mean? And we know what happens. It turns into some kind of an Animal House atmosphere. And over the last decade with weed, I watched a whole different crowd, not a different one, but just as opposed to the alcohol crowd. We really didn't have any problems. There was really not any problems. It was like a very peaceful, enjoyable, laughable, hospitable crowd came out of weed.
Want to fight.
No, they don't want to fight. They want to eat. They want to laugh. And they want to have a good time, and they want to go home safe and stuff. And where alcohol, you kind of just have very much tunnel vision, and you're just, I'm here in the moment, right? And whatever happens, we'll see what happens. And that's
triggers those anger receptors,
Right, exactly. So my whole thing with these events is, I want to go ahead and test the waters, and I believe that a microdose of psilocybin, or if someone ate a tab of acid and came to our events, they would love it. It's like perfect for them. We're essentially catering to them. And even though we do offer an alcohol option. I mean, if you want to have a drink at the event, you can have it. But again, like you're not going to see anybody like doing keg stands, and there's nothing like that, you know.
There's a difference between social drinking and drinking.
Right.
Social drink as opposed to drinking.
Right.
Very different things.
Yeah, exactly. So that's a big part of it. And we have all these different artists that show up and they bring their different, whatever they're working on, and the cool thing is it doesn't necessarily have to be a canvas. We have I call one of our artists. His name is Henry Bergeson. He's advertised in the last magazine, and he makes the most unbelievable kaleidoscopes you have ever seen in your life. And I met him last summer at the art festival here in Denver, and as soon as I walked up to the booth, I think I said something along the lines of, I knew someone like you existed. I knew that there was someone making a high-end kaleidoscope that was not the little rinky-dink Fisher-Price shit that we had as kids and stuff. And, and he's blown people away with what he does. You can't go, and so there's just other art out there that is very much conducive to, like, I almost call them like a trip enhancement procedure. It sounds like a medical term or something like that, where you're looking at something and you're tripping, and then you're really fucking looking at something, and it's doing something completely different to your vision and then your mind. And just the artist, I'm very much a supporter of the artists. And this is a quote from my mom. Everybody, what did she say? She says, every piece of art is priceless to somebody. You're right. So whether it's, a 3-year-old kid that just scratched something with a crayon and you got it on the refrigerator, that's priceless to somebody. And, it's hard to put a value on some of these things. So many of them are priceless, right? In a way like that. So
yes,
we're trying to put some art into this, and want to make sure that, when you open this magazine up, that, you're not sitting there thinking it's just a bunch of articles. As proud as I am of those articles, I'm actually very, very excited to send the two of you off the last 3 magazines that we've done. I'm going to send off a handful of copies of both of them so you can give some of them away. And, it's the articles that are in there that I'm very proud of, the writers that are, the writers that were tied in with that I've been blessed enough to meet. A lot of them have just come to me and, this is my passion. I feel really good about it. I can do this. And, they'll send a sample and it'll be like, damn, this person can really write, like I want to put them on the court, let them start shooting some 3-pointers out here for me, and we write from a standpoint where we're asking a lot of questions. There's nobody, I don't think I've published an article yet where it's like a hard opinion piece, like, hey, this is what I feel, and if you don't think that, you're wrong. Like, I won't publish something like that.
Yeah.
We're asking a bunch of questions, and we tend to say, if you ask good questions, you're going to get good answers eventually. So
having a conversation with the reader.
It is. And, I believe it's a bit of a lost art, which is we're so used to visually kind of getting our info now, right? Like we see it on a camera or we see it on a phone screen. And, all of us, I know, the 3 of us grew up where it was a book. You know what I mean? Like you had to go read through a book, and I used to dread that shit. You know what I mean? And I was the one who would run away and put my earphones on. I wanted to just listen to music, And
the Encyclopedia Britannica.
Yeah, remember that? The Dewey Decimal System, having to go look stuff up. And, when you're reading, you only have those words, and I want to try to get the readers, to go outside and think and speculate on their own, and maybe definitely form their own opinion on what we wrote, as opposed to trying to tell them this is exactly what you should think. And I don't want to put anything out like that.
No, I'm the same. I think a lot of the articles that are out there are very much one-sided opinion pieces, really. And they don't really ask a lot of questions. They just tell you what they think.
Yeah,
that's
more
not thinking for yourself
these days. Yeah,
right.
Editorials. They're not articles or editorials.
Yeah, I have a lot of pride with that, and this is I graduated with like a 2.1, I think, grade point average. I was fucking abysmal. I could barely get out of high school. I was lucky I even got out. I got out by the skin of my teeth, and now I think I might have finally learned the difference between a comma and a semicolon. I'm like learning English now. I was the guy that would go to English class and be like, I don't know why I need to pay attention. I already speak this shit. So now I'm learning some of the finer points of the English language, and we're really trying to put it into. I just want to make sure that anybody who reads this I wanted to make this magazine for anybody. I didn't want to side on a political. I stay away from that shit anyways, but I don't want to try to alienate one side politically. I didn't want to do anything like that. I wanted this to be able to fall on someone's coffee table in San Francisco and Manhattan, as well as, Kansas. And I wanted it to be universally accepted because we were just talking about psychedelics and art. That's it. I didn't want to talk about really anything else. And I wanted to make sure that if you picked it up, you felt like you were accepted, and this would, you were going to enjoy it, because we weren't getting too deep into some shit that just seems like almost everything is fucking political now. It's like it very much wants people. They want people to pick sides, and I would rather just play it down the middle, and I'll deal with that shit when it shows up, and I'll figure it out there. I don't really want to try to tell you, hey, I'm on this side, and come on, you know what I mean? That there's only so many kinds of people out there. We all, I think, at the end of the day, just all want to have a good time, go home, be safe, and not get fucked with, right? I mean, I don't know, maybe there's a few other things that we want, but I wanted to make sure that this magazine was known as an art magazine that was just there to blow you away, and that was it. I think we've accomplished it. You'll know. I'm gonna send a bunch of these out your way here. I'll get to the mailbox tomorrow here and send some stuff out to you.
Well, I thoroughly enjoyed the first one. I do have a copy of the first one. It's been sitting right here as part of my backdrop for about a year since I got it. I read it. I stood it up here. I had it in a stand, and it's been a part of my backdrop for about a year. My son is here, and he's staying with us for a little while, and he has absconded with it.
At least he's reading.
I love it. You hijacked your Shroomski. What's funny?
Hijacked my Shroomski Mag.
You did. We're hearing that there's like an epidemic of missing Shroomskis. We just mailed them out, and I'm like, man, I think the USPS, I'm gonna have some sort of a class action lawsuit. I'm like, they're over here stealing people's magazines. These postmen. All right, they see it and they're like, nah, let me just keep this. I've been hearing about this.
I think so.
Well, I think you're going to see a big jump. One of the first issue, as much as it was my magazine, I published it. I had another team that was helping me put that together, and they had their hands all over that first issue. And as proud as I am of that first issue, I think you're going to see the following second, third, and fourth one, and you're going to see a big jump forward in what we've done. So much of that actually has to do with my partner Kendra. She's in Mexico, fucking living it up right now. But
way to go, Kendra.
Yeah, exactly. She's over there sipping margaritas right now. So she's helped so much with what we're doing, and just has been just an angel for me. She's been a friend of mine for over 8 years. And is a phenomenal designer, and you're going to see a big jump in quality on the second, third, and fourth issue. And so much of it has to do with her and her ability to design. And she's an artist herself that is just it's different when it's kind of tricky, like when you pay somebody to do a job and they're not like part of the company. You're only going to get so much out of them, but when they're partners with you and it's someone who has a vested interest in the company, there's a different commitment to it. And Kendra is my partner with the company, and she's been just dynamite. And you can see that there's someone who really loves the magazine and loves what we're doing with it, and is excited to, meet the artists and, you know, and she's a phenomenal artist in her own right. And I always have to let her know, like, hey, just so you know, you're on like this badass level here with the rest of them now, you know, and they're it's kind of cool to see them go to her and be like, oh, you know, the magazine looks so beautiful, and I can almost see her blush, you know, over like the compliments that she gets on the magazine, you know, when we're throwing these parties. So that's the next one, you know. Like I said, there's an open invitation for the two of you. You come on down to Denver, Colorado, and you two got 4 tickets between the two of you there, and you can set the show up, and you can live broadcast right from it.
Oh, you're awesome, Anthony. We really, really appreciate you. I really appreciate the time for coming in and talking to us. Once again, I see our clock has ticked down on the second portion of the show. We've reached the portion of the show that we like to call shout out. We got a little clip. We're going to cue the chickens. Oh! All right, tell us how to get a hold of you, plug your websites, all that good stuff.
Okay, so the website is shroomski.com. You don't have to do anything else to it, shroomski.com. You can go right onto our Instagram, Shroomski Mag. You got to put MAG on there. Something like 16-year-old kid from Texas has Shroomski. And I can't get it from him either. He like posts his little fishing trips. I've been getting after him. I told him, I was like, kid, I haven't seen a good catch in like a year, buddy. Can I get this from you? And I don't know. I haven't been blocked yet, but whatever. So at Shroomski Mag on Instagram, and then on Facebook, it's at Shroomski. And just you can feel free to reach out, comment. You can talk shit, whatever you want. I'm usually the one on there responding, so I'm happy to, you know, I know the Canadians are expert level shit talkers. You're great at it. So feel free. You can go ahead and message me, and we'll have all the fun you want on that. I'd love to hear from you up there. And I really look forward to any feedback. I'm very, very humbled by it, and I'm happy to interact. I don't give a fuck what you say, but I'm happy to interact with you.
Well, you're awesome. I love this guy, you know.
Absolutely.
He's awesome. So honest and frank and just real, like an absolutely real human being. And fuck, man, we need more of that on this planet.
It's only one of me, okay? It's only one.
You're a trip in yourself in your own right, Anthony. I love chatting with you. And I look forward to the future of Shroomski Magazine and everything that this newfound partnership is going to bring to Shroomski and to psychonauts out there everywhere.
I'm very grateful for the opportunity to come on here and talk with the both of you, Tarra and you, Kim. Thank you so much for the opportunity. I'm very grateful for it, and I don't take it for granted. I actually had such a good time on here, and I really do look forward to meeting you both someday in person and getting to give you both a big hug. I mean, I very much mean that.
Awesome. Back at you, my friend.
Definitely.
Tara, always a pleasure with you as well tonight. Thank you for being my joint host here on the show. Once again, to our listeners out there, we are going on a break. Next week is our last show until we come back in May, but we are back next week with one more on the way out the door. And I think it's going to be an update show, but we'll see. I'm still working on that. We will have more next week on the vacay that's coming up, and then our April hiatus, and we will be back again in May with more special guests. Thank you to Anthony Sabia from Shroomski Magazine.
Thank you, ladies. Have a great night.
For joining us tonight here on Open Your Eye. And we hope that we have opened the doors to your curiosity just to crack for you to go on out there and find out more if whether or not psychedelic medicine is right for you. And just maybe open your eye. We'll be back again next week with another very special guest. Till then, peace.
Open your eyes.